Hi, I'm Laura Watkins. I can't think of a better way to celebrate Foodie Friday during National Travel and Tourism Week than by visiting one of my favorites, the Bite at the Landing. Located at Columbia Park Golf Course, this charming bistro offers great views and serves up delicious grub including burgers, sandwiches, French fries with goat horn aioli, but my absolute favorite is the crispy Brussels chicken Caesar salad. It is to die for. With so many great choices around the Tri-Cities, it is impossible to pick just one. For date night, my husband and I love to go to Apollo Greek restaurant and share a Paradiso pizza and a bottle of wine. Pro tip, order the side of tzatziki and the Greek dressing to dip your crust. You can thank me later. And when we are craving a good old-fashioned juicy burger, our go-to is the Dive restaurant in Richland. Order a side of the Dive fries with rosemary and Parmesan, or you can go with classics such as onion rings or my favorite, the tater tots. Make sure to order the tartar sauce.
Hi, I'm Maria with Visit Tri-Cities, and I'm at Columbia Point Marina sharing some of my favorite places to eat. Here at Bud's Broiler, I have an amazing view of the Columbia River and the Richland Yacht Club right from the patio while sipping on one of their killer cocktails. Did you know Bud's Broiler is a family-owned restaurant unique to the Tri-Cities, reflecting the style and personality of our community? The attention to detail combined with the high-quality ingredients makes for a great dining experience from start to finish. With its convenient location next door to Anthony's at Columbia Point and the Columbia Point Golf Club, Richland Yacht Club, bike trails, and parks, it's a great spot to hang out and enjoy the views. In the spring and summer, I like to go for a bike ride on the 7-mile Riverfront Trail and end the ride with a martini and appetizers at Bud's. Cheers!
We invite you to celebrate Tourism Week by enjoying all the amazing tourism offerings here in the Tri-Cities. And while you're at it, snap a pic and post it to your social media channels for a chance to win awesome prizes, including airfare from Avelo Airlines. Tag Visit Tri-Cities and Avelo Airlines for your chance to win. To learn more about everything the Tri-Cities has going on, check out visittricities.com.
Good morning, Tri-Cities. It's Friday at 9 o'clock and it's time for Coffee with Karl. I'm Karl Dye from TriDeck. And today we have a group of special guests from right here in the Tri-City Business Center at 7130 Grand Ridge Boulevard. Our team from Visit Tri-Cities, because this week is and has been National Travel and Tourism Week. So it's my honor to introduce, in no particular order, Michael Novakovich, CEO and President of Visit Tri-Cities. Michael, welcome back.
Good morning, Karl. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for being here.
Cool.
I'm just going to go around my screen. So next is Karisa Sawyers. Karisa is the Director of Marketing for Visit Tri-Cities. And did I say your name right? I'm sorry, Chris. I just know you as Karisa. So.
Well, now you can formally address me as Karisa Saywers from now on.
Saywers. Hey, thank you.
I know it's a tricky name. That W is silent. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I should ask that before, but hey, here we are on Coffee with Karl.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Kim Shugart is the Vice President of Visit Tri-Cities. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning. How are you this morning, Karl?
Good. Thanks for being here. And last but by no means least, Corey Pearson is the Executive Director of the Convention Center and also the Board Chair of Visit Tri-Cities. Good morning, Corey.
Hey, good morning, Karl. So sorry, I'm out of the building, so they wouldn't let me in. So.
That's okay. We can't tell where you're at. That's
right.
It's the nature of Zoom. Exactly. Well, thanks you guys for being on today. We're going to have some great time together talking about some of the amazing things that are going on that Visit Tri-Cities is working on as far as bringing visitors into the Tri-Cities, talk about some of the recovery coming back from COVID and some of the great programs coming up. But let's kick it off first with our mug show thing. And I know it's May the 6th, but based on May the 4th, I do have Job of the Cup. Because I want to give a shout out to Star Wars. I probably should have been something because obviously Cinco de Mayo was a little bit closer today, but I'm going with May the 4th be with you with the Job of the Cup, which is one of my favorites. Who wants to go next?
I'll do it.
I think that everybody's got the same mug.
We do, but it's different colors. So here's the deal. It is Cinco, just happened, but there's an official kickoff downtown Pasco today, Cinco de Mayo celebration happening this week, and I'm representing guacamole right here. So,
Oh.
That kind of makes me hungry, even though it's
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Kim's got the same one.
Yes, but I thought my green represented margaritas. So
Oh.
happy Cinco, Seis de Mayo, everybody.
I'm salsa. I'm salsa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go against the grain a little bit since mine is blue. Mine represents the blue skies and rivers of the Tri-Cities community. So that's fair. That's what mine is.
She's a marketer.
Full
There's
spin.
no doubt.
I
And such a
remember
coordinated
those.
effort.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into some, let's talk about tourism and travel in the Tri-Cities. And Michael, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you to tell or to say this cool, catchphrase that you've created, I think, by yourself that talks about how travel and people visiting our fair cities impacts economic development and, our whole community. So you say it so well, I'm just going to ask you to repeat it for us.
Thank you. So half of it's a Visit Tri-Cities original. The other half of it I borrowed from a friend. I'll give her attribution here in a moment, but we really are tourism's the handshake, the introduction of economic development. And it truly does begin with a visit. And when visitors come to our community, and this last year, we just received our economic impact numbers, $489 million. So we're only 1.5% off of where we were in 2019, which was the best year for tourism everywhere, Tri-Cities, but literally around the world. So we are so close, and I think we're going to hit it this year. So the recovery is well underway. But people come into our community, they spend dollars not only staying in our hotels, but going out and eating in our restaurants, taking our attractions, purchasing from our retail, pumping gas, buying groceries, and here in wine country, drinking a lot of wine, which is awesome. But what a friend of mine has to say is this: when you build a place that people want to visit, you build a place that people want to live. And when you build a place that people want to live, you build a place that people want to work. And when you build a place that people want to work, you build a place that business has to be. And if we can build a place that business has to be, we just came full circle and we just built a place that people want to visit. So it really does influence economic development when we have a thriving business climate. All of these dollars coming in, it supports all of these small businesses, can help us attract new small business, which is awesome. Build out a workforce, and then all of those visitors generate over $50 million in state and local taxes that helps to pay for police and fire, schools and teachers, the maintenance of our roads, beautifications of our parks, and so much more. So the global picture, the work that the team here at Visit Tri-Cities and all our partners are engaged in is we're building an employed, a beautiful, a safe and welcoming community filled with many, many amenities for all of us to enjoy.
Right. I almost think we're only 7 minutes into it. We could just drop the mic now and be done. Like you just, right? Like it's just, okay, there you go.
Turn my camera off. Is that?
Yeah, that's the Zoom mic drop.
Nice.
No, thanks for kicking us off on that. Cause we all work together, in the business organizations throughout the community. But I think that phrase and what you just said is such a perfect, description of the way that we work together, because as we work in, more the old school traditional economic development, I guess you call it, recruiting companies, helping companies grow, a little bit with startups, the place that we have is so important. It's so competitive, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit, but with people can live where they want to and work remotely in some cases, the quality, the amenities, the things that visitors love to do, that people that live here love to do, is so critically important to helping us maintain that economic growth. Because obviously we've been growing for a long time, but we want to keep it rolling. That keeps us a vibrant and healthy community. So thanks for kicking off that way.
Of course.
Corey, I know, and I want to start with the negative, and then we'll just get right past that and get into all the good stuff. But I mean, pretty hard impacts in the tourism industry. I mean, your business, I know we talked in the past, had some real challenges, but can you kind of give us an update on how it's going? And being an old guy, I'm just like excited that Bob Dylan's coming to Tri-Cities, man. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it was a big challenge for the last 2 years, especially out here on the West Coast. I mean, it was really difficult for a long time to hear other buildings are still open. Other convention centers and complexes were having banner years because people were just looking for some place to go that was open. But we've really made the turn. Excuse me, the event numbers for the convention center are coming back strong. We are seeing that the attendance numbers are still down a little bit, which is to be expected. So we'll see that start to come back. Yeah, the Toyota Center, the concerts and such, they're all, starting to come back. They're starting to route because the West Coast, we got skipped for 2 years. They pulled back and didn't come this far. But yeah, it's been pretty exciting. I mean, it was great to get back on the phone and reignite a lot of those relationships with people and try to get some shows to come back. And so far it's worked. And you're right, Bob Dylan, Pat Santana, and a lot of Latino and Hispanic shows. I mean, it's like things have gone really well. We're happy.
That's great. And how about workforce? I know that's something I've heard you talk about before, but how's it going on workforce? Are you able to hire the folks that you need to really pull off these great events and to have, conventions?
Workforce has been the biggest challenge by far.
Yeah.
We typically run 350 to 500 part-time staff for this campus. So everywhere from the concession stands to servers at the banquets to setup, tear down, cleaning, your guest services. And our number right now is about 120, maybe 130. So we've had to outsource a lot of different things that we typically don't like to do.
Yeah.
But we've had to try to bolster our numbers to get them up. And it's not us, it's everywhere. With the shows coming through the door, you'll have a load-in crew where they want 50 people. And, they'll say, hey, 2 nights ago, we were in Boise and we had 20. So, it's just things like that where it's just really rough. And even some of our smaller calls, we'll have 15 people signed up and 2 show up. And, it ends up all-nighters and stuff. So we're trying to work through that. But we haven't figured out how to remedy that yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you guys can still pull off these world-class events, I mean, that says a lot about you and your team. So,
We've got an awesome team.
There has to be some relief in the future, I'm sure, but good on you for keeping it going. That's awesome.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Karl.
Yeah. I think, the next thing I wanted to jump into is, because I think it was such a huge event that there will be implications and, people come to the Tri-Cities because of it, but who wants to jump in on PreBax and tell us what PreBax is?
Wow, we can probably all take a run at that. Can we have a group combo? So huge event. I know we had 300 people registered, 273 of them were travel writers. I don't know that I can do the complete list here, but we had Canada, Denmark, Mexico, Ireland, Australia, Thailand, Spain. Yeah, those ladies from Spain were awesome. And then, of course, a lot of domestic writers. But Kim, Karisa, Corey, you want to take a run at what those FAMs, the PreBax tours looked like and our evening experiences?
Let's let Karisa start.
See how this is going to go.
Teamwork.
We had so many amazing events because we really wanted to highlight all of the amazing things that the Tri-Cities has to offer. And as you can imagine, with so much, it was hard to condense it into these 2-day spans and then a couple evening events, but we managed to get a lot of good stuff in there. And so the first couple days of the week, the writers were experiencing all sorts of tourism attractions that we have in the area. There was a water to wine lunch cruise. Some of them did a hike, wine, dine with Friends of Badger Mountain, and they went up Red Mountain and got to do a little wine tasting after some exercise. They did bike tours. They did horseback riding. They got up on a plane to do some scenic flights around the Tri-Cities. I know they did Ice Age flood tours. They got to go to the Mammoth Dig, LIGO. They just did so much during that 2-day span. We crammed a lot of stuff in there for them, and they had a great time. They got to see what this community has to offer, and they enjoyed every minute of it. And then every night we got to highlight each of the cities with a reception. So the cities really got to shine, not that they weren't shining already, but the first night we were out at Terra Blanca. So everybody got to, if they weren't enjoying those wine excursions, they got a peek of what our wine industry has to offer in this area. It was a beautiful event. The following night, we were at the Reach in Richland, and that was great. We got our friends from the Mid-Columbia Master Singers even sang a few songs from their beer choir hymnal, and that was a great time. On Wednesday night, we had a very exciting event down at Columbia Gardens in Kennewick. Everyone really enjoyed those tasting rooms that evening, thanks to the weather that we had, but they got to experience a little bit more about the community gathering spots that we had down in Kennewick. And then our closing reception in downtown Pasco at the newly remodeled Peanuts Park was awesome in downtown Pasco. It was so great. We had performing groups show up. The Pasco High dance team brought down the house with their performances. It was just so much fun. And we really got to highlight some of our cultural offerings in the area, our amenities, the food, the drink. It was just a great spotlight on the Tri-Cities during that 5 days.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is it was just crazy. Any one of these, a FAM stands for familiarization tour, and we do them pretty regularly. And we do usually one at a time. And the logistics just to pull off one takes a lot of planning, a lot of coordination with our partners. Well, we had 10 or 15 a day of these going on. And the collaboration through the Tri-Cities was probably the coolest thing for me to see our sponsors, the counties, the cities, our hospitality partners, everybody pulling together to put our best foot forward, and people really noticed. So it was certainly not just a visit success, it was an actual community success and the willingness of our partners. It wasn't an inexpensive thing to host all these people for that period of time, and everybody came together, and we're going to reap the benefits for quite some time.
So funny. Corey was one of our key funders on this, 2 partners in this. Of course, this was held at the convention center. So, without that partnership, TVX wouldn't have happened. But something that I appreciated was during the keynote presentation, first day, one of the presenters called out Corey's team's mac and cheese, and she was 100% sincere how legit this mac and cheese was.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's funny.
It is. So the really cool thing with this that people might not recognize is, so a good year for Karisa, we've talked about this, Chris and I, is 20 travel writers a year. So we had 273 here. Other communities that have hosted this have received 5 to 20 years their normal press impact, travel writer impact in one fell swoop. So and these writers will write about a community up to 2 years post-event has been the experience. So this lit up is going to light up. It's already happening, but the Tri-Cities for some time. But we also partnered with the state of Washington Tourism and other communities. And the travel writers, many of them left here, went out across Washington, and they're going to light up Washington. And that rising tide is going to float all boats. We are all going to benefit from this in a big, big way.
Really cool. Obviously you guys track social media posts and articles and stuff like that. Is it rising, like the number of hashtags or call outs or however you track that digitally?
Yeah, just in the brief amount of time that they were here, we had well over 500 posts, and those posts were visually highlighting the Tri-Cities. And you can't ask for anything better than a photo, right? So there were so many great pics and content that came out of this group during that time. So between the Twitter, between Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, we had over 500 posts during that short amount of time, and they were just really doing a great job. They were showing their smiling faces and how much they enjoyed the Tri-Cities, but also highlighting our different attractions, highlighting the convention center, the keynotes during that time. There were probably some pics of that mac and cheese in there too, as well as the vineyards out on Red Mountain, and they did a really good job of visually highlighting the Tri-Cities during that time. As far as press impacts, we're starting to see some of that stuff come in. Yeah. I shared with the team one of the first articles that I saw come through about our destination this morning. So we're starting to see that earned media come through, and we're really excited about that.
That's huge. That I wasn't able to participate in any events, but at the Visit Tri-Cities board meeting, you guys did a great job of kind of highlighting and stuff. And the thing that stood out in my mind, and in the couple of years since our family moved here, what we've seen is the differentiator, I think, that we've got here is the people, right? It's the hospitality. I mean, the the authenticity of the experience they have from a customer service point of view. And you guys really did a good job of highlighting that in the kind of the TVX overview at the board meeting. Cause I mean, you might say like, oh, a lot of other places have these amenities that we have, but it feels like it's the unique mix of those amenities along with the people that we've got that really kind of brings it home when you guys bring a big group like TVX to town, right?
So important, Karl, and I'm sure my colleagues here could speak better to it, but during Travel and Tourism Week every year, we launch our Excellence in Service Award program, which we highlight. This is a vote of the people, right? So if you're having an amazing experience, you're definitely going to want to nominate either your favorite business or somebody that works there. But it's these people within our community that go above and beyond to provide that exceptional service. And we create brand ambassadors when we do that, each and every one of us, and sing the praises. People go out beyond our community, invite people in, and it drives all this incredible economic impact that provides quality of life that literally touches every single Tri-City in ways that people don't recognize. So that service is paramount. But I think you hit it. I mean, we've got some pretty dynamite service here, from the delivery of some amazing mac and cheese to points in between.
Well, and Karl, I think we can't forget, Visit Tri-Cities is geared to bring people here to host their event. And this team pulled off an unbelievable event. I mean, they all had to step way outside their wheelhouse, and it was so neat to go to all these other events and see every staff member from top to bottom there, whether they were trying to hold a tent down in the storm to, greeting at every gate along the way. I mean, it was pretty awesome. I mean, you talk about a great community, and the Visit Tri-Cities staff is an awesome reflection of that community because they all pitched in and they did stuff they weren't hired to do, and they did it with a smile on their face and pulled it off. So it was pretty awesome.
Thanks, Corey.
Yeah, no, that's so well said, Corey. And I totally agree. I mean, the team that you guys have at Visit Tri-Cities represents all of us, right? I mean, you guys are the front edge of bringing people into town and do such a great job. And it's so critically important. And it feels like, and I know, I think we've all been to maybe a few conferences or traveled a little bit ourselves, since we've kind of opened back up. And it feels like the dynamic, even that's going on around town, right, is people are just excited to be back in person and to see each other and to, interact like we kind of missed out on for a couple of years. So I think that dynamic, you guys just hit it, I mean, you kind of hit it right at the top of the bounce on coming back with TVX and really, get some momentum going, it feels like.
Yeah, the timing of this, we had some fits and starts. For the people that don't know, the team has been working on this for 2 years. Laura Watkins was our project manager on it. She's finally taking a break. She's off enjoying her grandchild, literally unplugged, well-deserved. But, we were going to host this twice last year, and we had August fires and the pandemic, and then October, another rise in case counts. And we thought, boy, we hope springtime works, and the timing couldn't have been any better in terms of recovery.
Oh,
totally. No locusts. We didn't have a locust. That was the only thing we didn't have.
Right. Jeez. So crazy.
Yeah.
Corey didn't just jinx us for locusts this year.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
One of the coolest things I think every one of our team members has received this feedback, but it's the quality of the writers that came in for this conference. So we have a number of our partners that host travel writers that we'll bring in regularly. So they have a really good understanding of what it means when you've got somebody that truly is an influencer. And we were getting this feedback that the quality of the writers that this conference brought in and the content they're developing was just so spot on.
Yeah, I think Tracy threw it in the chat. There's the hashtag TVX TriCities. So if you want to check out and see some of the visuals that were posted, some of the videos, the photos, anything like that, you can catch it on at TVX TriCities.
Oh, that's perfect, Chris. And Michael's comment just made me think of, and you even talked about like some of the social media posts while they're here, but then sounds like there is a lag time and probably some publications still go to print, which is kind of the old way. But I mean, how do travel writers work in today's environment? Like, are they all different, or are they usually a blend of like actual writing for a publication that obviously would be online and maybe in print, but then also social media? Is it different, or is it definitely trending towards more instant, social media related travel writing, or do you have a feel for that?
Well, what was really cool about this conference is that they're travel content creators. So they can come from any medium. They could be social influencers, they could be YouTube stars, they could be news anchors, they could be traditional, travel writers that write for classic publications like Travel and Leisure. They come from all over the place. So we're going to see, yes, you're right. There's going to be a little bit of lag time with some of those print because there's still ones that are going to go to the presses, but a lot of them have their own personal blogs as well that have a great following because they already have built up that recognition with their audiences. So they're already posting to their personal blogs, their own personal channels. So we're going to see one creator, for example, create different things for their different mediums. So whether they're on YouTube and Instagram, they're going to have different audiences at each one, but they're hitting all their different audiences. And then, when they'll built up that familiarity. So when it hits the print or television or whatever their final product will be, it'll have all these touch points along the way. So this group was so cool with the diversity that they have as how they delivered the message of travel to their audiences. So we're going to see a lot of different pieces of exposure through a lot of different channels.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing, Karl, to note is we have several things happened. We'll have these writers will circle back up with us and source imagery and some other things they didn't capture while they're here to write future stories. We have some of them already planning. They told us while they were here, I'm coming back because we peeled back the curtain on what the TriCities is. And they're like, oh my gosh, there's more discovery. Karisa held on to a group of writers after the conference ended for an additional 3 days. One of them's writing 2 articles for a Porsche publication, and he's going to bring his Porsche down from Canada, wants to take a tour, loved wine country. So we've got people coming back for additional adventures. But even on this tour, thanks to DOE and the partnerships with the National Park Service, they opened up B-reactor tours for us. We had writers that were here that were slated to go home that stuck around and spent a couple more nights in the Tri-Cities to go have experiences, which was super cool. Yeah, so the impacts are huge, and we're going to see more as people come back into the community. I think that's all something we get to celebrate. I have to tell you though, one of these writers, and we heard this feedback from one of our winery owners. This travel writer walked into their tasting room, opened up her, I don't know if it was a purse, but threw up a drone and just started flying around inside their facility. But what I loved with this woman, and I'd stand up and try to pull it off, but I'd probably tear a seam. She would have this drone floating in front of her. You wouldn't even see it. And then you'd see her and all of a sudden she'd do a karate kick and this drone would launch. It was pretty awesome. Yeah. Anyways, it was her thing. She was a kicker. It was just fun.
Michael, now that you say that, I can't get the image of you trying to do that. And I just hope that next time we're together that you would try it,
later in the atrium.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I think, the conversation about the different media platforms that all of the travel writers use is a good segue into some of the updates you guys have been working on the digital platform, like the website. I think kiosks, I wrote down in my notes here. Kim, you want to give us an update of what's going on with Visit on those type of, your digital platforms and outreach?
Sure. So when the pandemic hit, as you referenced before, our industry was really hard hit. We were fortunate that we had the resources that we could retain a lot of our staff. But what do you do when you can't, call on a meeting planner and so as a team, we decided that we were not going to be idle during this time, that we were going to use this time to come out of the pandemic because eventually it would end. And we wanted to come out well positioned and in front of and that's why we made these investments. So we launched a new website, visittricities.com, totally new website. And it's really more interactive than what we had before, a lot more image friendly. Kind of along with that, we enacted a platform called CrowdRiff that allows for user-generated content. Authentic images are much more attractive to visitors and people than say the more canned images that also have their place. But when they're researching travel, they like to see other people floating down the river or paddling. So CrowdRiff was one of those that we did. Yeah.
Can you explain that user-generated content? Everybody might not know what that really means and how CrowdRiff works.
Well, user-generated content is really, again, the authentic experiences of, somebody who takes a selfie or whatever, but it's it's the users, and they help generate the content, versus Visit TriCities and the more formalized approach to providing information. And it automatically has more credibility than with the viewers because of that.
So we're
Karisa,
getting,
you can go ahead, Michael.
we're getting permission to use the content on other people's social media feeds on our website. So that's where it's their experiences, and then we can tap into their social networks, and it's got this huge reach.
So CrowdRiff, again, part of the new, to support the new website. And then also Bandwango, we partnered with Bandwango to create passes. And that's a way to really get the visitors into our member businesses and spending their money. We've done a couple of passes already. We did a Ales and Tales pass, which had to do with craft breweries and that are dog friendly. That was when we ran last fall. We've done a couple of wine passes. We did a family friendly pass that was a summer savings pass last summer to fall. And then most recently today, we launched a wine pass, a paid wine pass that has some partnering wineries, and you can go and taste flights, and it's all part of one inclusive pass. We're excited about that. We also did a consumer sentiment survey, because we do have a number of different markets that we're reaching out to, and we wanted to make sure that they were being perceived the way that we wanted them to perceive, and that it was really exciting people about our region. We learned some great things, and we're going to continue doing that moving forward, because as Karisa and her team are always evolving and doing different marketing campaigns, we just want to make sure that those are measurable, and that we're taking a good care of the funds that we invest in marketing and that type of thing. And then also we early on did what through Destinations International got our DMAP accreditation. And what that is it's a state of excellence in our industry, that we're leaders, and we have a very high standards. So we're pretty pleased with that. Those are kind of some of the big platforms. Did I miss anything, you guys?
SkyNav and Kula.
Yeah. So SkyNav is a 360. If you go to our website, visittricities.com, and I know Tracy put that up in the chat. You'll see right on the homepage SkyNav, and what SkyNav allows you to do is do a 360 experience, and there's different beacons throughout the community where you can really feel like you're sitting in the middle of a plaza and look all the way around, or sitting in the middle of one of the businesses that are featured, or take a tour of a hotel. Kula is very similar to that. Currently, we're using it more targeted to sports fields and things like that, so you can find Kula on our site as well. So again, really getting that video incorporated into the website, which again, the first step was launching the website that could allow for that type of activity.
Yeah, that Kula was so cool during, so that the team.
Kula was cool.
Kula was cool. We were working ways to bring
I was
back,
going to say that.
yeah, meetings and conventions. I mean, we knew that this was going to stall out. And so we're sitting here and we sell futures 1 to 5 years into the future. So what do we do when people aren't getting on a plane, come to the Tri-Cities, and we have to sell them on our infrastructure, meeting space, hotels, and sports infrastructure? So this 360 platform, we've got a 360 camera. Our team went out and shot all of these facilities. So when we're talking to these meeting planners that are or in tournament directors across the US, we can actually show them the Tri-Cities. They can take a tour. We can work to convert that into a sell and bring them here for, future events.
That is really cool.
It's cool.
Well, and you said the differentiation is Kula is a bit more focused on sporting venues and things like that versus SkyNav, or are they similar in the way the platform works?
So one's industry focused. Kula is really for the decision makers to bring the group business here, conventions and sports. And then SkyNav, community members will enjoy it. They can go take a peek at some things they haven't seen before, but on the leisure side of our business, or even the group business, though, when they come to our community, they want to know that we have a facility like the Three Rivers Convention Center and great hotel properties. But then they want to know is like, okay, that's great, but what are we going to go do? So that's where SkyNav really picks up, and they go, okay, this looks pretty amazing.
Yeah. You guys do such a great job of marketing, like sporting events, regional sporting events. I think Hector was tied up on your team that does that, but I was just thinking of that, you know, when a family comes to town, like it's just such and even I was talking to somebody this week and they go, oh, I was really busy this last week. And I go, yeah, I think there was like a lacrosse tournament and a softball tournament, you know, it's like, he gets a car out on the weekends, but, you know, is there, or do you guys do anything for families that come for sporting events? And like, obviously we want them, and they do stay in a hotel, go out to eat, they hit the ball fields or, you know, wherever the activities are doing, but do you do anything to help them specifically, like, hey, you know, while you're here and in between games, go do this or something? Or is that just kind of fall into, you know, leisure travel kind of stuff?
Yeah. Two thoughts. I don't know if anybody wants to take a swing at it. I'll throw this out there.
Nice.
So a lot of the decision makers, the tournament directors we talk to, they want to know what amenities we have here so they can share it out, right? So they're asking our team, and we're proactive about putting that on the page. But I do think, and we've talked about this internally, Karl, you and I think even talked about geofencing these opportunities when they're in town. There's really good opportunity for us to capitalize on it, and while they're here, drive further economic impact. And the wayfinding signage we did around town, we've got visitors here, and it all points to these areas where they're going to have a great time, but it's what drives, you know, economic activity. It is a kind of good example, but there's so much more we can do with all these digital products, I think.
And another thing that we provide specifically for the families and the participants is we have what's called Show Your Badge. In this case, it'd probably be, you know, show your jersey or whatever. But when we work with the tournament directors prior to the arrival, we can communicate these offers. And they are, again, local businesses that'll say, hey, if you're a soccer team, show us your badge and we'll give you 10% off your pizza. And it helps get the money out in the community and support those tourism-based businesses. And it's a good thing for the families because they come for multiple days. And then after they've played their game, they've got, an hour or 2, 3 before their next game. So the other attractions and being able to promote those really help us secure those tournaments because nobody just wants to sit on the field under a shady area and wait for the next game. So
yeah.
Well, and there was a cute name. So Corey's going to be hosting the FFA convention. So we have 3,000 young people in corduroy showing up here real soon.
Next week.
Is that what? So Corey, this event has never left Pullman. It's been there 92, 93 years.
92 years. Yeah.
Okay. So we're doing a Show Your Badge program, but I don't know that it's Show Your Corduroy, but what's it called?
It's Show Your Corduroy because they've got the iconic blue jackets. They'll be rocking those throughout town. So when they're wearing those to certain establishments, they'll be getting some sweet discounts.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to have young people en masse out throughout the whole community.
And it just worked out perfectly that we have a country concert right in the middle of the convention. So that was, dumb luck, I'll take it any day.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I mean, what a great story about, kind of breaking it loose, if you will, from Pullman and getting into the Tri-Cities. I'm sure Sandra Haynes from WSU Tri-Cities loves to hear those stories. She's looking for more stuff that can, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Karisa, something that our family loves is you guys started doing, I think they're called Your Weekend Starts Here. And I think they come out on Wednesday or Thursday, but just kind of like what's going on every week. And I think when it started, you were kind of hosting them. Now you've kind of maybe handed the mic, so to speak, off to somebody else, but do you want to talk about those? I think that those are great, whether it's somebody visiting or, for locals, we love to check it out just to see what's going on, where we can go for the weekend, but you want to kind of give us a rundown on that?
Absolutely. So that's, like you mentioned, it's a weekly program that we send out to our email list. Anybody can sign up for that on our website. So if you want to get an email once a week that has all of the awesome things that are happening in the Tri-Cities, go to visittricities.com and you'll be able to sign up there. And as Karl mentioned, there's a video. It's just a clip that had about usually between a minute to 90 seconds. And we'll be sharing what's going on in the community. So that way you not only have an idea of all the things that we have to offer, maybe you can't do it this weekend, but put a pin in it for another visit or another weekend when you do have friends and family coming into town. We just like to highlight what our partners have going on. There's so many great, like when Corey has his country music concert, I've already forgot who it is next week, but oh, well, great. So that's something that we would talk about in Your Weekend Starts Here to promote that event. So it's us supporting, visitor activities, but as well supporting our partners and getting the word out on their activities to get more people through their doors. So it's a wonderful way just to get little catch up on what we have every weekend. We also list live music events. We also put other promos of, we also do a program called the TriCities Business Spotlight. So we highlight a local small tourism related business. So restaurants, the last one I think we did was Monteroso's in Richland. So it's another way to put what we have to offer in front of people, and give them one more thing, one more reason to come to the Tri-Cities, one more reason to extend their stay, or one more reason to go out and enjoy the community.
Great. Michael, you talked about it a little bit earlier, but you guys, I think, just had a press release this morning about kind of the return of visitor and tourism business. But do you have any more stats you want to share with us, like Michael or Karisa, on that? I mean, I think that that's a good indicator, right? Because we're all looking for indicators or data that shows where are we versus where we started on pandemic. We've talked before about like workforce overall as a community, and we have more people that are working now than before the pandemic started, and stuff like that on the general overall economy. But any numbers you can share with us? And obviously it sounds like the trend is going up, even though still these challenges you're talking about, Corey, with workforce. So how's it going? Or some numbers you want to share with us?
Yeah, I'll give you kind of a general summary of a few things. So the expectation from U.S. travel is we're actually going to beat leisure tourism numbers this year compared to 19. So best year ever. So, based on what we're seeing with our economic impact numbers for 21, we already know 22 is looking way better. So we have every confidence that piece of our business is going to be super strong. We're starting to hear anecdotally from our friends like Buck Taft over the Tri-City Airport. We have more and more of that independent business traveler coming back. And I can tell you, for the business segment that's suffering the most for us, which is the meetings and conventions, we have a lot of RFP generation going on. And Corey can tell you this, you don't see this, but we have bookings in the year for the year. So third and fourth quarter, we're seeing activity, which is really encouraging. And then sports are hot. Last year, when the restrictions lifted and we could get teams on the field, it was great. Last year wasn't as strong as 19, but this year is looking dynamite. So these are all good things. The other indicators we look at, there's some hotel metrics, occupancy, and we actually did pretty well last year compared to 19. It is interesting though, because as you might recall, there's been a company that's been buying up some properties, some repressed properties. So we've lost inventory for sure. But the other thing that's happened, there's another metric called RevPAR, revenue per available room, and it's up considerably. So our hoteliers are able to charge a better rate than they were even compared to 19. So that's looking really, really good. But that meetings and convention business, it comes at a specific time in the week that our hoteliers need it, our event spaces need it. So it's a focal point for Visit Tri-Cities. We need that business back.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. And Michael or any of the rest of the team, do you guys have a sense of those numbers for the Tri-Cities that are coming back? And sounds like maybe 22 will be better than 19, but is that nationwide? Is that a trend throughout your industry, or is Tri-Cities unique in kind of the swiftness of the recovery, if you will?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has any thoughts. I'll tell you, in Washington State, we're beating what the Washington State has done. So while we're 1.5% away from what we saw in 19, I think statewide we're down about 20%. So the Tri-Cities is faring really well. I think there's a few things that are helping us drive that. One of them is this team and our partners. we've been hitting that thing hard. So we'll give ourselves a pat on the back. But no, really, and we couldn't do it without partnerships. I mean, we've got a dynamite team doing some cool things. But if it wasn't for the Corys of the world and many of our other partners, none of that would happen. But we're in the sweet spot, and we knew it as we were bringing this back, particularly last year with this wave of the pandemic. Road trips were a thing, and people weren't getting on planes, they're getting in their cars, and we're right in the swing zone of how far people were willing to drive. I mean, when you look at Portland, Spokane, Seattle, and Boise, and this still remains today, we're right there. People are willing to go up to 300 miles, 2/3 of people in a nationwide survey, 300 miles one way. So we're an easy drive. They're looking for wide open spaces. We have those things. So I think we're going to fare well in that regard for sure. Again, this year is people are building back this business.
And I think too, people are really prioritizing family time. and actually taking their vacations. The pandemic has people reevaluating their relationships with their children, their family, their far away family. And so I think that's only going to help us, and it's only going to help the tourism industry as people commit to using their vacation time.
Yeah. And on Monday, you'll see this happen. Karisa has a new campaign being launched. It's visiting friends and relatives. So this is a key market segment. And part of this, it was exciting with TVX. We heard our community, people that are not invested in our space, really latched on to, holy cow, we had all these travel writers here. There's cool things in our community. When we get people out enjoying our community, so if our community is tapping into your weekend starts here and cruising our calendar of events and seeing the Tri-Cities business spotlights, and recognize that we've got a great food scene, we've got this growing craft beverage scene, we've got great outdoor recreation, we've got great concerts and events, and there's more coming. Instead of traveling out, take the time to invite your friends and family in for a visit. Some of them are going to stay on your couch. I love my family, and if they didn't live locally, I can guarantee you I'd get a hotel room because I love them that much. And it just drives impact. So we're going to be working to facilitate, people making that decision and giving them the tools to check it out. So whether it's SkyNav, our website, or a calendar event, it's like, this is a really cool community. Check it out and invite your friends and family in for a visit.
Great point. Michael, when we met a couple of years ago, when I came to town to interview, I had to admit, even though, I was in the selection process for this job, that I hadn't really ever been off the highway. I'd been through the Tri-Cities going from Spokane to Portland or, Seattle to Boise many, many times, but just had never come off the highway. Anything you guys are working on that might digitally or something else that just says like, hey, don't just stop at the Tri-Cities for gas, but, come and grab a bite to eat, enjoy this experience or something like that. Is there any potential campaign out there?
That's a good one. I think the wine pass is going to help, but Karisa, one of the things that I think, and it may not be just get off the highway, but provide the reasons to come here. You want to share try ideas?
Sure. So we at the beginning of this year, we launched a new program called Try Ideas, and that stands for, I'm going to jump right through it, inclusivity, diversity, equity, and accessibility. And it's all about that DE&I that we've been hearing so much about, but it's also really important to share that we are a welcoming community. We have opportunities for anybody who wants to visit here, and it's all tourism related opportunities and how people in these different populations can enjoy the Tri-Cities. Every week we have something that we debut something about the community, whether it's a video or a blog highlighting those different tourism opportunities. For example, March was Women's History Month, and so we are celebrating women all the month long. Not that we shouldn't all year long, by the way, but particularly in March. And we highlighted an itinerary for like girlfriend getaways and highlighted women-owned businesses throughout that itinerary. Like go to these women-owned wineries that have women winemakers or women-owned restaurants, spas, things like that to enjoy while you're in the community. We have things coming up for the LGBTQ+. I'm sorry if I messed up the acronym. I'm so sorry. But we have things like that coming up throughout the rest of the year to highlight and welcome those groups to our community, because we want everybody here to come here and enjoy it and know that they have experiences that they can enjoy.
Right. So we kicked it off with Black History Month. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I love about it, and Kim was talking about, the authentic experiences of others. This isn't Visit Tri-Cities telling the story. We're actually hearing from our community, the people that represent these populations, talking about these wonderful things that we need to get out and explore and uncover.
Well, I think that again, our family being, new, we really enjoy the diversity of our community. It's such a strength of our community that, unless you get off the highway, you don't really know who we are and what we're about. And that authenticity, like we talked about before, is such a huge part of customer service and experience that people have, that, the community is the authentic place. And you guys do such a good job in all these different programs and putting the word out there just to let people know who we are and why is it such a good place to visit and potentially work and live too.
Thank you. Well, and I know, Karl, we partnered with you on a project, and no doubt we'll do it in the future. But one of the things we did during the pandemic is we brought video production in-house. So a lot of the products, and Karisa, maybe you can talk about it, but that we've been able to do in real time, really rapidly, a lot of fresh content is thanks to the way that we rebuilt our organization. We really reorged during this, these times when things were a little interesting.
So yeah, we have an in-house video production team. We have a videographer as well as a graphic designer to help create those awesome animations that you see in all the videos. And it's helped us be really nimble in creating content to address, events that are coming into the community or to promote the Tri-Cities in general. Like we've been able to be really nimble when there's a gorgeous day out. Well, it's a little cloudy today, but the sun looks like it's coming up. But when we have great days like that, we're able to get out and highlight some of the things that you can enjoy in the sun. That's why we're able to do a weekly Your Weekend Starts Here, the Tri-Cities Business Spotlights, creating the Tri Ideas programs, as well as other commercial endeavors that we're working on for marketing campaigns. Having that in-house team has made us really, it's really jumped up our game, so to speak, so that we were able to create these awesome products that promote the destination.
So, and we've got one of our team is a certified commercially drone pilot. Yeah. And then we have traditional video, but we have 360, so we can shoot VR. But something I'm excited about, we haven't done it yet, but we bought the harness. Karl, you'll love this because Karisa educate me. A pack of pugs is called a grumble.
Grumble. Karl's grumble.
Karl has a grumble. We bought a harness to mount a GoPro. So we want to do the dog cam on our trails and do some fun stuff with that too. So there's more coming.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, we were talking about it before, but like you guys have breeds of dogs that you have, like boxers and I think golden retriever. Yeah. And the thing about pugs is like, if you think that they're going to follow somebody on a trail or walk where you want them to, like that's not going to happen. So if we put the camera on a pug, it might be spinning in a circle. Yeah.
Perfect.
What if I tie like a
just
piece
sit
of
there
bacon
and
on a
look.
string and drag it along? Will you follow that?
I didn't know Karl was a pug guy because I've had pugs up until just recently. We lost ours, but I know our pugs, if you put a GoPro on them, it would be a lot of footage of the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, maybe we'll find a little bit more of an adventurous dog.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys invested in that digital suite because there might be a lot of editing, like those couch visits might be a lot of the footage you get. But.
Well, I've been trying to figure out how to mount a Kim cam on the sneak so we can see what Shugart does all day long, but I haven't been able to do a sneaky maneuver quite yet. It's coming. I did offer to give her a helmet cam, but she just wasn't good for it.
Now I know to watch for it.
Oh, you guys do such a good job on that. And Michael, you talked about things we partnered with. One thing that was great that, I just had one of those random conversations, I think in the hallway, but when we were working with Darigold and Port of Pasco and City of Pasco, Franklin County, and kind of landing them, you were great. Like we talked about the potential for food tourism, and that may be something that they're interested in. They have like a 2-year build out, but that farm to table kind of food tourism, obviously with the wine country and then, even microbreweries and stuff. But, you and I just had a random conversation. Next thing I know, like a couple hours later, you sent me like a 2-minute video that was, like you had their logo and you had some cool, people riding in a wagon out in a winery and just like kind of pumping it up. It was awesome. But that's a great example of what you guys can put together that isn't just an only tourism related, but, so many other ways that we can partner to kind of show off the community. It was awesome.
Thank you, Karl. Yeah. And I think for us, with an economic development partner across the hall, it makes such good sense. And particularly like with this Darigold, if they had a visitor center and people can see, production, it's just cool stuff, feeds into what we do. But we have so many opportunities with our different partners, and we keep uncovering things that some industries and partners may not recognize that it's directly related to tourism. And then we start having these conversations and it's like, oh my gosh, next thing you know, we're doing some crazy things with some people that, nobody would ever thought of. So it's the opportunities are out there. We just got to uncover them.
Oh, exactly. And I think like on TVX, you guys are talking about that you're able to get some tours to the B reactor, right? Because all of us that are here think it's the best, whoa, it's so amazing, but it's hard to gauge what people that aren't from here think about it and, what their acceptance of it is. So it's really cool to get these international travel writers that are just excited, maybe to even stay a couple extra days, just go check out the B reactor and learn some of our history and kind of the connection today into clean energy and carbon-free electrical generation and everything else.
Right. Well, and that's one of the piece I know you've heard us talk. We've talked about it before, but with STEM tourism, that's so cool. So we've got this leisure opportunity with Drive All the Impacts that Visit does, but our plans, pandemic disrupted a little of this. It's still on the page, but is really to work, use that to leverage it for workforce development and recruitment. So when these families are out having these wonderful experiences, planting the seeds for a future educational opportunity for these young people, and we have 2 higher ed institutions here, WSU TriCities and CBC, that both have STEM offerings. So, okay, you can get the education here, but when they're out having those experiences, they can learn about these employers like Bechtel and others, the lab, for instance. And so maybe that's future employment for these young people, but mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, maybe it's their next career stop. So there's some cool things we can do with this STEM tourism.
Exactly. And you guys mentioned before the program about kind of the friends and families, like, hey, get your family to come in and visit. And I think that there's things that we can do about highlighting jobs that are open, right? I think just an interesting anecdote that we've talked with some realtors lately, and we all know the challenges in housing, the prices are going up, availability is low, but it sounds like there is a group of people that are moving to the Tri-Cities here during the pandemic that are remote workers. And so, why are they coming to the Tri-Cities? Well, it sounds like a lot of them have a connection here. They grew up here, now if they can work and live wherever they want to, their job's still say in the West Side, but they want to live here. And, with the open jobs that we have, I think there's opportunities we can have to kind of push messaging out to families, to the moms and grandmas, like, hey, if you want the grandkids to come home, send this link to all these jobs that are open to your friends and family. Just the same thing to visit, but then, hey, we want you to move and work here too, because there's a lot of great open jobs here.
It's so cool. Well, and even when you think about, the whole, when you build a place that people want to visit, and we get the businesses here. So we have this thriving economy, and an amenities-based community just is such a wonderful thing, not only for quality of life for residents, but for the type of recruiting you're doing, whether it's manufacturing or agriculture. So you've got something that isn't maybe tourism related at all, but they need the amenities. And if we've got the workforce here, the population, they want places to eat and things to do and all the things that you and I want. And so the next thing you know, if there's a need and the economy is strong, somebody stands up the next greatest Tri-Cities original, and we all get to enjoy it. So yeah, there's some dots to be connected on all of that.
Totally. Down to about 5 minutes. I wanted to ask this question before, Michael, because looking at your background with Columbia Point, such a beautiful picture, but how about tour boats? And I know that they do stop here. I think they stop in Richland, but before I was here, I was up the Snake River, and kind of, that was the end up at Clarkston. And so people would get on and get off the boat, and a lot of them rode jet boats up Snake River Canyon, Hell's Canyon and stuff. But how much is going on with the tour boats here? Because I think they're kind of coming back now. I think they were sort of shut down with the pandemic, but what's going on with tour boats? Any update you can give us on that?
Yeah, Kim, Karisa, I don't know if any of you have a bead on.
Well, there's 2 different companies that offer that service. They bring people again up the rivers. And so generally you'll see one midweek parked there for a day or 2. But the great thing is, even though they don't stay overnight in our hotels, is they do get out in our communities. Like you said, they take bus tours, they go to Country Mercantile, they have, full day itineraries. I know as a trail user myself, you see them get off the boat and they all just kind of start congregating and looking around, and they got their, stuff that they're going to do. But, and it's just such a nice aesthetic to see those cruise ships parked there. It makes us more big time tourist destination, and it's just great to see.
Totally. Oh, that's awesome. So we got 4 minutes left. How about anybody want to jump in with like what's coming up in the future? Anything you can share with us, or what do you see? Obviously, it sounds like the trend is going in the right direction, but what's coming up in the next year? Or anything big coming in Visit Tri-Cities? Not that TVX and everything else we talked about wasn't big, but what's next?
Oh, I don't know if one of my colleagues here has a thought on an upcoming event, things that we're working, because we're always working on the new latest greatest. One of the things that we have not put to bed was we were this close to bringing Ironman, a half Ironman here, and we had we needed the support of our community and our jurisdictional partners and others. And it was just one of those things. There was an event that got canceled in Northern California, and there was a big draw. And when they were looking at site selections, they chose Southern Oregon because they needed to draw from there. That wasn't in the equation when we were talking to them. So we really want to bring a signature event like that here. Red Bull event. Karl, you and I, Dragon Boats, man. You knew it was going to find its way in here. Yeah, if we can host a signature event like that, it just puts us on the map for future events. So we haven't let up the gas on that. But I will tell you some things that I think we're all really excited to see happen. So Vista Field's about ready to do their official groundbreaking, and that development right here around the Three Rivers campus is going to be incredible. Corey has an incredible, I don't even want to, I'm going to let you take that, Corey. You want to? Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting closer. The pandemic slowed us down a little bit, but looking at getting the another hotel attached to the convention center, doubling the size of the footprint of the convention center, starting to move because we have so much opportunity here for us to bring more of these events back. And FFA is a great example. I mean, in order to pull FFA off, we had to pull the entire community together. We've got part of it at the Red Lion off of Columbia Center, part of it's out at Southridge. We've got them all over town to be able to pull that off and to be able to bring more events like that benefit everyone. Need some more space. So we're getting closer. I mean, the city, I've worked in a lot of communities, and the city that we have here is forward thinking. They're great collaborators. They get it of what it takes to put a building like this together and make it be successful. And unfortunately, we had 2 years to show what happens when we don't have these facilities. So it's great to see what we have coming. Getting all new seats in the Toyota Center this summer, new retractables and handrails. Oh, thank you, God, for finally getting handrails in the Toyota Center. So, the campus, we're trying to keep it new and shiny and keep people coming to town so that everybody can benefit.
Great. Well, Michael, when you said Iron Man, at first I thought like Black Sabbath and Ozzy are coming, man, like Bob Dylan.
I've been working Corey over. It needs to happen.
I know. We're easing into it.
Well, you guys, as always, just really appreciate your time this morning and sharing all the amazing things that you guys are doing at Visit TriCities. You guys are great partners. It's great to be in the building with you, and you help all of us in our jobs by showing off the TriCities, bringing people in, and Michael, the way you kicked it off with the mantra there, which is awesome. I'm gonna have to learn it from you because you're mastering it. It's such a great description of how we all work together. Exactly. Yeah, but we're out of time, guys. So I'm just going to thank you all again for your time, and we'll have you on again, obviously soon, because you're doing so much stuff. But thank you all for the work you're doing for our whole community, showing us off in such a great light and bringing people in and creating more business and inviting people in to spend money, which helps everybody out. So thanks again. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Karl.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Chase Warden of Visit TriCities, and your weekend starts here. The week-long Cinco de Mayo festival continues this week in Pasco. Art exhibits on Thursday featuring the talent and culture of local artists, Latin fusion performances Friday, parade, bully bash, boxing, lucha libre, Grammy award-winning La Mafia performing on Saturday, and festival health fair on Mother's Day Sunday. It's sure to be a great time to provide fun and excitement for the whole family. You won't want to miss out on Mayfest taking place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Red Mountain. Experience amazing food, wine, scavenger hunts, wagon rides, and more at 10+ wineries in the heart of Washington wine country. We certainly didn't forget about those moms. There are dedicated Mother's Day events happening all over the Tri-Cities this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. From tea parties to sip and shops to wine tastings, all the way to champagne brunches. There is a host of events happening this weekend to help you celebrate your wonderful mothers. At Purple Star Winery, Dee's Wicked Cider, Millbrant Vineyards and Patrick Wines, the Red Lion Pasco, Three-Eyed Fish, and so much more. This weekend is packed full of amazing events, culture, wine, and food. To learn more about these events and everything else happening in the Tri-Cities, check out visittricities.com/events.